Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth. Our meeting date is Monday, July 7th, 2025. I'm Mayor Todd Kasenberg and I'll call this meeting to order. I ask the clerk to note our starting time for the minutes as 7 p.m. A warm welcome and greetings are extended to councilors, staff, delegations, and observers who will participate in this meeting, regardless of whether being physically in attendance in the council chambers in Listowel or being connected through web technologies. We begin tonight's meeting with the playing of O Canada. Those in chambers as able are invited to stand. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe peoples. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples in Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on the Municipality of North Perth YouTube channel and will be available there after this meeting as an archived video. To those viewing this meeting via the YouTube channel, a warm welcome to you. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the Council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and or the clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and or unacceptable behavior and or comments. At this time, I invite your decorum over the course of the coming meeting. You can see that all councillors are in their chairs in the council chamber in Listowel. Let us move to item 5 of our agenda pertaining to pecuniary interest. Members of council have full lives with engagement in the community. Sometimes they may find themselves with a potential financial or pecuniary interest in an item at the council table. Provincial legislation mandates councillors to declare this interest and in so doing avoid direct involvement in the consideration or voting on the item. I invite all councillors with a perceived pecuniary interest, including those who have already so declared in writing, to verbally advise the chair in public session. Documentation is to be submitted, if not already done, pursuant to council procedures. Councillors may declare now or at any point in the meeting should such interest be recognized. And ahead of the meeting, I see a note from Deputy Mayor Kellum.
And thank you through you, Mayor Kasenberg. Good evening, everyone. I will disclose pecuniary interest on item 8.1, a public meeting. As the property being discussed is my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Barney and Angie McCracken, and then subsequently the confirmatory bylaw 17.1.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anyone else with a declaration at this hour? Not seeing evidence of that. Let's move forward. As chair of this meeting, I will manage the flow of proceedings tonight, largely in accord with our agenda and rules of procedure. Some may be participating remotely by web conference. Should they wish to speak, they may draw the attention of the clerk to this using the conferencing technology's text chat function. If technical difficulties arise for remote participants, I will advise and try to send a little bit of help. Let's now focus on the people's business. Part of that focus is achieved when those in the chamber silence and put away their phones. Regarding item 6 on our agenda, I have a resolution for our consideration to approve the agenda as follows: that the agenda for tonight's meeting be approved. And I call for a mover. Councillor Rothwell, thank you, and seconded by Councillor Anstead. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. Councillor Andreessen records a manual in favor vote. Councillor Nordum records a manual in favor vote. And with that, we have the 10 votes cast in favor, and that is carried. Thank you. All right, let's move to item 7 on our agenda, the so-called consent agenda. Consent items are placed on our agenda because they are believed to be non-contentious, yet they may warrant council recognition and or action. Grouping them expedites our business. However, any councillor wishing to extract an item from the consent agenda for discussion, debate, and individual action may do so. There are 11 items on our consent agenda tonight, including the minutes of our last regular council meeting. Councillors, anything to extract here or any corrections to the minutes you'd like to see noted? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd. Good evening, Council, staff, and public. Item 7.3, please. The Perth County Spring 2025 Provincial Legislative Changes Report from County staff.
Okay, thank you. Item 7.3 is noted. Anyone else with an item to extract at this point? All right, seeing none, let's turn to you, Councillor Rothwell, please.
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd, and I want to thank our county planning staff, Moira Davidson, and the rest of the county staff for preparing the report outlining the proposed changes on multiple fronts for the province. There's been opportunity to have some comment or no comment, depending on the process under the three matters: the proposed Bill 5, Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act, Bill 17, Protect Ontario by Building Faster and Smarter Act, and then lastly the Bill 21, the Private Members Bill for Protect Our Food Act. In particular of concern, I note the frustration, I guess I would say, from staff regarding the rapid fire changes that previously from the province and without the ink hardly being dry on some of the proposed changes that they've dealt with over the last couple of years. They've had to rework draft policies and stuff that were in place or proposed to implement the policies at the time. Secondly, I guess in particular, and I think we're going to hear this later in our reports here, but the financial implications regarding the reductions in the overall development charges is something that this council has expressed considerable concern about, as well as all other municipalities in Ontario. And frankly, when is it fair if we think that development should no longer pay for development? The issue is that if development is not paying for development, we're going back to the days prior to 1987 when the Development Charges Act first was implemented, so that Joe and Jane Public are going to underwrite the cost for new development. It was not fair, deemed not to be fair then. That's the reason why the Development Charges Act came in, that development should pay for growth-related capital costs, and is still, to this day, at least in my mind, and I believe in this council's mind, linchpin for any other new growth and development, that it should pay its proportional share. It should not go on the overall tax bill, and if it means that we are not going to see any development, that's quite a hard pill to swallow. But I don't think that our taxpayers should be the ones that are underwriting cost for development regarding growth-related capital costs. I believe also that the report that was to the county council back in June, the comments were submitted on the second item regarding to the environmental registry regarding concerns expressed in the report. So I don't think we need to go any further on that, but I truly believe as we have this council before expressed concern to our MPP and to the Premier regarding the what word should I say? The proposed reduction in development charges. Let's keep it positive here. And that we should continue to express those concerns directly and often to our elected provincial MPs. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Rothwell. Are you proposing that this council drafts a letter and sends same to the province?
Yes, I absolutely make that motion. If staff can put that in a motion, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I think I have something for you here. I've been sort of paying attention. So the motion might be something like this. Councillor Rothwell, with your consent, direct staff to prepare a letter signed by the mayor on behalf of council that expresses the council's concern about the changes made through Bill 5 that would have the impact of changes in development charges. Do you want to be more explicit than that and talk about the growth paying for growth piece?
Mr. Mayor, I'm fine to keep it general. And I know that we in the past have had more explicit wording regarding our concerns. If we want to mirror those, I'm fine with that. But I think keeping it general is fine. And it should get the point across loud and clear, I hope.
Okay, and so the suspects here, I think, would be the Premier, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the local MPP. And do we want to send this to other municipalities across the province?
Yes.
Okay, and to Ontario municipalities. All right, clerk's table, you with us on this one? Sort of have the general outline of what we're doing here. It's good with you as mover. Okay, I call for seconder, Councillor Andreessen. Thank you. Any discussion or debate or build on in terms of what should be in this letter? Councillor Nordholm.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. Not that I'm an expert in the bills, but I believe Bill 17 is the one related to development charges. Councillor Rothwell might know more than I do.
Just slide back here again.
Yeah.
I believe it is Bill 17.
Yeah.
Covers that. So Bill 5 covers the Special Economic Zone Act. The Bill 17 is the Protect Ontario Building Faster and Smarter Act. So thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks for catching that. Okay. Anyone with comments? Anything to build on this? Okay, I know that the county did commission staff to send a letter on behalf of the county council, so this isn't really a surprise. All right, I think we're prepared to have that vote. Let's have it.
Mayor Ton, I'm in favor. My computer's
Okay.
rebooting.
Councillor Rothwell records a manual in favor vote. Councillor Andreessen records a manual in favor vote. We seem to be having some problems with our tech tonight. And that is carried. Thank you. Anything else from the consent agenda before we consider the omnibus resolution to that end? Okay, not seeing it. So as follows, at consent item 7.1 to 7.11 be received for information, and the minutes of the June 23rd, 2025 regular council meeting be adopted. Councillor Richardson will move. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Blazek. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
Mayor Ton, I'm in favor as well.
Councillor Rothwell records a manual in favor vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Let's move forward to item 8. Our agenda does propose that we will hold a public meeting pertaining to matter under the Planning Act related to an amendment to the North Perth zoning bylaw and relevant to lands in the Wallace ward of the municipality. For the purpose of executing this public meeting, I use my discretion as head of council to announce a recess that will last the duration of the public meeting. This council is recessed. All right, we are going to turn our attention and call to order a public meeting to deal with an application made under the Planning Act. I welcome all those who are attending the public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act for a proposed amendment to the North Perth zoning bylaw. This is a statutory public meeting to deal with an application for zoning bylaw amendment number ZN 7-2025 by Patterson Planning Consultants, Inc. on behalf of Brian and Angela McCracken for property legally described as Concession 1, part of Lot 45 and part of Lot 46, Wallace Ward, in the municipality of North Perth. Correspondence, reports, and comments received regarding this application will be considered by council. Those in attendance wishing to make comment concerning this application will be given the opportunity to do so. Anyone wishing to appeal council's decision in this matter must make verbal submission during this public meeting or have made a written submission to the council. Those wishing to receive notice of the decision regarding this application must notify the clerk via email, telephone, or by utilizing the public meeting sign-in sheet, which is located at the back of the council chambers, giving their mailing address and telephone number. At this time, I'm going to call for a summary of this application. This will be offered by Nathan Garland, planner for the County of Perth, who works on North Perth files. Welcome again, Mr. Garland.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg and members of North Perth Council. I'm here to present rezoning application ZN7 2025. The owners, as noted, are Brian and Angela McCracken, and the applicant is Patterson Planning Consultants on behalf of Scott Patterson. The property is highlighted as part of this image. It's just shown in there in blue with the red star located on it. It is for the property noted at part lot 45 and part lot 46, concession 1, Wallace Ward, North Perth. So just for council's reference, this was a previous severance application, so it was to divide the property up. It was previously approximately 149 acres or so that they split in half. That's just a site photo of the image of the property. It is currently vacant. There was a small residential lot taken out of the property historically, so this is the remainder of that lot, and there was previously joined with the residence to the west also. So this is the proposed severed parcel, which is currently vacant at this time. Just a reference image again showing the proposed severance area. So this is only for the proposed severed lot, not the retained parcel. The retained parcel actually meets all the criteria for the North Perth zoning bylaw for a full agricultural lot. So it's 75 acres in size. It has the appropriate frontage. That's why there's not a rezoning requirement for the retained lot. So this is purely for the severed lot. The severed request, or the reduction request, is to recognize a reduced frontage of 176 meters, where 225 is required, as well as a reduced minimum size of 29.9 hectares, where 30 is required. It is also to place a prohibition against building a residence on the property, so they would be prohibited against building a residence. They would be permitted to place agricultural buildings and structures on the property in the future. So, should a barn meet the MDS criteria, they would be allowed to do that. As noted, this is to satisfy a condition of the consent, B5024, that the severed lands be prohibited from a residence, and the rezoning recognize the reduced frontage as well as reduced parcel size. No changes to retained lands as noted, and no comments or concerns have been expressed by the neighbors. The circulation date was June 2nd, 2025, just for the public meeting notice. Once again, staff are recommending approval of the condition, and then happy to address or answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Let me just turn to the clerk to make sure that North Perth hasn't received anything that hasn't been disclosed to this point.
Through you, Mayor Kaysenberg, no additional correspondence has been received.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so this is the opportunity for those who are attending this public meeting, if they wish to make comments, they may now do so. First, I'll call on those who are in favor of the application other than the applicant. If any are in that state and wish to make comments, please approach the podium and introduce yourself. I'm seeing no expressions of this, nor online, I assume. Next, we call for those who are opposed to this action. They may have their say at this time by approaching the podium. Anyone wishing to avail themselves of that opportunity? And I'm not seeing any indication of that. Next, the applicant or the applicant's agent may present at this time. Anyone from that party who wishes to present? We're seeing that there may be someone online to that end. The clerk is indicating yes. So let's turn that over to, it looks like Mr. Patterson.
Good evening, Council. Scott Patterson here on behalf of Brian and Angela McCracken, here in full support of the staff report and recommendation. Council may recall that this was brought to Council previously and took a lot of discussion about the ability to construct a house on the severed property. Ultimately, the Land Division Committee did not support what North Perth Council had recommended. So the zone changes for the lot frontage, the lot area, and unfortunately, in my opinion, the prohibition on the house. My clients are well aware of this, and we're here in support of the recommendation, looking forward to moving this ahead and clearing the conditions and finalizing the consent. Any questions from Council, though, I'm here to answer those this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. All right, let's turn to Council. Colleagues, any questions that you have or comments you wish to make about this application at this time? I'm seeing no expression of interest in that. So notice that the decision of Council will be given in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. Council's decision is subject to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act. And with that, we can adjourn this public meeting. All right, next. So I'm going to call regular council out of recess and back into session at this hour. We do have the resolution emerging as the recommendation from staff on this matter for our consideration as follows. That the Council of the Municipality of North Perth receives the report dated July 7th, 2025, entitled Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z 7-2025, prepared by planning staff, and that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves zoning bylaw amendment Z 7-2025 submitted by Patterson Planning Consultants on behalf of Brian and Angela McCracken, affecting lands described as Concession 1, Part Lot 45 and Part Lot 46, Wallace Ward, Municipality of North Perth. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Duncan, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Murham, thank you. Any discussion or debate on this matter? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. And if we can give notice to Deputy Mayor Callum that he may return to the room at this point, he would be welcome to do so. All right, that brings us to item 9 on our agenda. First, let us consider items from the Development and Protective Services Department under item 9.1 of our agenda. In item 9.1.1, Council is presented with a somewhat complex request for severance of lands from 2 lots in Listowel Ward, which will ultimately add land to the 3rd lot when affected. Our purpose in considering this application is to give advice to the county's Land Division Committee or its designate about the will of this council. Call on planner Mr. Garland, Nathan Garland from the county to address this item. Mr. Garland, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Kaisenberg and members of North Perth Council. I will go, so this is a joint application, so we've combined the B18 and B1925 as a mutual submission for a lot line adjustment within the town of Listowel. The owners and applicants are Wayne and Nicole, and the location is 44M33, Block 525, Listowel Ward, and then it's 200 Hutton Street. So that's the land that's being added to. So 200 Hutton Street is the land being added to. And I will go through the next slide a little bit more in detail and in depth. Flips. So the request of the applicants is to add on to their property. They are the owners of 200 Hutton Street. They have the house there, the residential house there. They are requesting to extend their backyard slightly and therefore sever and merge 2 of the corner pieces of those 2 triangular shaped properties. So they will be removed from 47 and 49 Forbes Crescent. They are just that abutting end of that piece of the triangle through there, and then merge it with 200 Hutton Street East. I believe the owners, in discussion with them, they're just looking to increase their backyard a little bit more and add on to that. They might have potential plans in the future to add on or do some kind of improvements to the property or house, but right now they're just looking to increase that space and then add on to their property. As going through this, we have discussed with staff around any kind of drainage impacts or issues that may or may not occur. Nothing is noted, and we have talked to one of the adjacent residents on that around drainage. So the drainage along Forbes flows to both the east and to the south, so there are no impacts to the drain happening at that very corner. There are no impacts to the overall drainage scheme as part of that. So no flow path concerns. There was no impact or regrading required. That area more or less just sits there. There may be a regrading element in the future should they choose to change or modify that. But the one common request just was respect to clarification of the drainage, so that is not impacted by this severance request. Therefore, it is staff's recommendation that the North Perth Council support the application and that North Perth Council direct the North Perth Committee of Adjustment or its designate to approve the application. A couple notes I would note from Council just in reading the report. Condition 4, I would ask that it just be modified to read North Perth, the municipality of North Perth. Just it says Perth South in there. Apologies for that. And then also the report photo just be updated to read North Perth as well too. So it's two small little modifications. Apology for the crossover. I'm happy to address or answer any questions at this time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garland. Councillor Andreessen, I see your hand.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kaysenberg. I have a question for Mr. Garland, and it just might be absolutely fine, but I'm on page 65 of the package, and it's showing, it's not that slide, it's showing the two triangles together that make this the rectangle. If you could perhaps bring that up for me. Right there, thank you. My question is just, and again, it could just be around the graphics on this, but just want to make sure that the red lot line matches the lot line on the left. Do you know what I'm saying?
So through the Mayor, I believe I do. So I'll try this, and if I'm incorrect, feel free to clarify. So the red and yellow lot lines would be the current lot fabric, and the purple and the orange lot line would be the current lot fabric. The proposed future lot fabric would be a combination of the blue, the orange, and the yellow. So the red would be a standalone parcel, and the purple would be a standalone parcel, and the other three parcels would be merged together.
Correct, but do you see how the lines don't match? The top red line doesn't match with the lot line that goes the property on.
Through the chair, I believe there is a slight, I'll say, disconnect. It may not be quite a triangular piece. There is that little piece of a jut down that it does occur. It may be just a GIS error. Typically, we would refer back to the severance sketch that was provided by the surveyor. That's what we would rely on more so than the GIS lines.
So just secondary to that, so would the intention be to line that up?
Yes, through the Mayor, the intention would be to line that up and just have them touch base, and they would be flush across the back. So the corner of that southern triangle would line up with I'll say, the horizontal piece of the other line going across.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
It would be a 90-degree angle. It would be a rectangle. Yes.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Anyone else?
Mr. Rothwell. Thanks very much, Mayor Todd. And just for clarification, if we look on the two survey sketch on page 66 and 67, you'll actually see that I believe that the mapping is actually correct. The most southerly block, if you will, is in fact offset. When you look at that sketch, at least on ours, we have a red line around the triangle there. Yeah. So you'll see, when you zoom in on that section, it actually doesn't come to that point at all. So the mapping's correct. It's unusual, but that's what the lot fabric was. But in the end, as Planner Garland said, if council is in support of this, it will in fact be a moot point because it will simply be part of the enlarged Nicole property. So it will no longer be an issue.
Through the chair, apologies, but yes, it would end up being still a 90-degree block. There wouldn't be any odd or abutting odd angles.
Okay. Anyone else with questions on this one? All right, seeing none, we have a resolution proposed to us as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth advises the Land Division Committee or its delegated authority that the Municipality of North Perth supports application files B1825 and B1925 submitted by Wayne Nicole for lands described as Plan 44M33, Block 252, Listowel Ward, municipally known as 200 Hutton Street East, subject to the conditions listed in the report dated July 7th, 2025. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Richardson, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Blazek. Any discussion or debate further? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. All right, item 9.1.2 invites council to grant an exemption from park lot control to proponent Zeta Group for lands in the list award. This is usually done to allow lot line adjustments, including the creation of new lot lines in a parcel that is developed. County of Perth Planner Nathan Garland is with us yet again to explain and answer questions. Mr. Garland.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysenberg, members of North Perth Council. I am here to present application for Part Lot Control Exemption 3, 2025. The owners are the Zeta Group on behalf of Scott Patterson and Patterson Planning Consultant. The location that is noted as Plan 171, Lot 33 in the municipality of North Perth, Listowel Ward, and the municipal address is 429 Victoria Street North. That's the highlighted property right there. The building has been removed previously, and they are under construction of a new building there. So just for a reference point, that's a little bit different than the aerial photo, but I'll go through that. The request is for a part lot control exemption over a partially constructed building. So currently the building is being constructed right there. The request is for to divide it into a part 1 and part 2. So there are no additional easements, no additional drainage requirements or additional parts. So this is just a straight split down the middle of the parcel. The applicant is requesting a semi-detached dwelling construction and that they be separately conveyable parcels, which would allow that to happen in the future, subject to the part lot control exemption being registered. So it is noted as a semi-detached dwelling with 2 units currently under construction. The reference plan has been deposited and requested parts 1 and parts 2. There does meet the zoning bylaw, so that is one of the criteria as part of a part lot control exemption is it's within a registered plan of subdivision and does meet the zoning bylaws, so that was permitted. So it does meet both those criteria, and therefore it is staff's recommendation that the application be approved and the bylaw be registered on title. I'm happy to address or answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Colleagues, questions or first comments? Councillor Blazek.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Kaysenberg, and thank you for your presentation, Nathan. Listen, one of the most complex issues that we, learn to work through as a council is land planning. It is a very steep learning curve, and in my not quite 3 years here, I don't pretend to be an expert yet, wherever. Can you explain to me the logistics of why we receive an application like this now when, I drove by this weekend and the exterior is like getting its bricked in at this point. So why the timing on that?
Through your worship, to address Councillor Blazek's question, typically you would see a severance come forward ahead of time. So typically a severance application may come forward ahead of time to create a parcel. Part lot controls application is typically for a semi-detached. We do ask they come in once the foundation or the shared walls in place. Because it's a very specific line, they need to survey down that property to sever it. So if they're off by, say, 10 centimeters with that survey, or typically when they go to install the foundation, if they're off by 10 centimeters, your kitchen sink might be in someone else's property, which has happened, and that's why we ask for part lot controls, typically in semi-detached or multi-detached dwellings, to come in when the actual building is under construction. On this property, for instance, they could have built a semi-detached building and lived in it for 10 years and then come forward with a part lot control exemption request. So once again, to address you can use parallel controls for a single detached or even other type structures, but typically when we get into the density of, say, a semi-detached dwelling, multi-residential unit, where row houses is a good example as well too, where you have a number of houses in a row. We do ask and recommend strongly that those shared walls be put in place so that when the surveyor goes out to do his work and deposits the actual formal plan in the survey office, that those lines are very much set in place. So they base it more off the work as opposed to the survey. So it is a little bit backwards on the development side of things.
Thank you. That's a perfect explanation. Thank you.
I learned something. Yeah, that's great. Anyone else? All right. We have the resolution then, I think, for consideration as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the application submitted by Zeta Group for the exemption of part lot control on lands legally described as Plan 171, Lot 33, being all of PIN 53026-0111. List to award Municipality of North Perth, and that the approved bylaw be returned to the Municipality of North Perth following delegated authority approval by the County of Perth to be registered on title. Moved by Councillor Blasek, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Rothwell. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Mr. Garland, as always, a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for coming. Next up, 2 items from the Operations Department is item 9.2. For item 9.2.1, Council is invited to proceed with the appointment of an engineer, in this case, Street Associates, for the purposes of the improvement of the Steg Municipal Drain. Call on Drainage Superintendent Scott Richardson to share with us the details of this proposed engagement. Mr. Richardson, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The purpose of this report, like you said, is to consider a 78-1, a major improvement under the Drainage Act for the Staggy Municipal Drain. It's in the Wallace Ward. This drain was originally built in 1953. They constructed a 3,500 meter open channel from lot 11, concession 11, upstream to lot 3, concession 12. Later on, 69, an extension was added. The extension was a 1,000 meter tile drain consisting of 8 and 10 inch tiles. The tile drain serves lots 1 to 5 on concession 12. Again, in 71, another improvement was completed on the open channel. They deepened it for a section and it did a full clean out on the remaining length. Upon investigation out there, the tile has failed on the Belkey property. Repairs have been made to it over the last few years. The drain's at the end of its service life. It's in poor condition and it lacks capacity by today's standards. I've made a recommendation to the owners that a full replacement should be investigated. The request for improvement was submitted by Mr. Warner and Rose Belkey, owner of North Part Lot 4, Concession 12, on June the 26th of this year, and this is for the reconstruction of the tile extension from 1969. The municipality won't have any financial commitments to this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Colleagues, questions or first comments on this one? This is an old one. This is pushing it. All right. We have a resolution to the effect for the appointment of the engineer as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth, in accordance with Section 78 of the Drainage Act, proceeds with the request for improvement of the Steg Municipal Drain, and that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth appoints Street Associates to investigate and to prepare a new engineer's report. Moved by Deputy Mayor Callum, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Rothwell, thank you. Discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Let's turn to item 9.2.2. In this one, thank you, Mr. Richardson, as always. Staff bring forward a draft of a new 2025 Municipal Development and Servicing Guidelines with a recommendation for adoption that will include delegation of some minor matters to the Manager of Operations. We'll call on our Development Coordinator, Celine Mayhew, to walk us through this guideline set invite whoever she wants to talk and to answer some questions.
Hello,
Welcome.
Mayor Kasenberg. Oh, sorry.
Welcome.
Hello, Mayor Kasenberg and members of council. Our operations team has spent the last few months reviewing the servicing guidelines. They were last updated in 2017. We're updating them to better align with municipal, county, and provincial standards. These standards will enable the municipality to set a minimum level of service in both new and existing neighborhoods, promoting accurate and consistent standards for all of those who live in North Perth. So I've just highlighted some of the major changes in our manual. It's lengthy, I'm sure you saw it. So one of the first things that we have updated since 2017 is the Consolidated Linear Infrastructure Environmental Compliance Approval. I'm glad I said that right first try. This is a single environmental permission for all stormwater and sanitary collection systems along with water distribution. Previously, the developer would be required to submit documentation through the Ministry of Environment for approval, but with the CLI ECA, the municipality now has the authority to approve infrastructure that conforms with the ministry's guidelines. This helps to fast track things within our community. The ministry sometimes isn't the most efficient at getting that stuff back, so that's good. We did update all of our typical cross sections as well. So I have them up here, but basically, I will highlight some of the main changes. Our rural roads remain mostly unchanged, except for the addition of a 30-meter right-of-way, and that better aligns with the county and provincial standards. Local roads will now have at least one side with an active transportation facility, and will also allow for on-street parking on the opposite side of the road. Arterial roads are now designed with narrower lanes to accommodate wider active transportation facilities. Collector roads will have active transportation facilities on both sides going forward, and business park roads, are also known as industrial roads, will have increased asphalt thickness to accommodate transport truckloads and will now have active transportation facilities on both sides. So this is for all new roads going forward. There won't be changes to existing facilities, but any infrastructure going forward will have these items. Oh, I must not have been moving that the whole time. This slide here is just for your reference. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of these stages in the following points. So when constructing a subdivision, we have different stages that get approval as they go through. So this is just for a point of reference for the next points. So roads and sidewalks, the topsoil depth on our boulevards has been increased from 100 millimeters to 150 millimeters. Staked sod is now required for side slopes. Driveway widths are now done in accordance with zoning bylaws. In the previous version of these guidelines, there was conflicting information between the zoning bylaw and the guidelines. So that's been updated to be the same. And two-stage curbs are now not permitted. Landscaping and trees. Tree planting is now required within 1 year of surface paving. Multi-use trails are now separated into 3 distinct categories, which we didn't have before. And topsoil depths for parks have been increased from 200 millimeters to 450 millimeters. Street lighting, we now have a clear distinction between decorative and standard light fixtures. It's kind of been a hodgepodge, so we have made that more clearly distinct. Fixture specifications and pole types are now detailed as well. Illumination standards are now defined to optimize the distance between street lights. Water mains, did I miss a, oh, sorry. Water mains, tracer wire testing is now required before and after paving. Flow testing is now done by the developer and as their responsibility. Cathodic protection and dust-resistant requirements have been expanded. For storm and sanitary sewers, blind connections to storm mains are now prohibited unless otherwise approved at the municipality's discretion. Private drain connections must now be 100 millimeters minimum and white in color. Video inspections of sewers are now increased to 3 times. They must done before each of the three acceptances that I showed earlier. And grinder pump specs and responsibilities have been clarified. Oh my gosh, I'm really bad at moving this thing. Engineering and drawing standards. A scale for plan and profiles have been changed from 1 to 500 to 1 to 250 horizontal. As recorded drawings are now required after Phase 2 final works with more detailed survey requirements. And finally, our GIS shapefile containing all new assets is now encouraged for submission, and they would be asset management compatible. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
There were some words in there that I didn't know what they mean, and I hope someone else around this horseshoe has cathodic and something or a thrust. So, I didn't get it, but hopefully it's meaningful. Looks like a lot of work, so thank you for that. Colleagues, questions and first comments besides definitions. Deputy Mayor Cullum.
Perfect, thank you. And yes, a few for me too, Mayor Caseberg, and thank you for the report. So back to eliminating the two-stage curb. So the two-stage curb, is that what has a gutter, it's called, on the side? And it will be eliminated?
That is a great question. Thankfully, my backup is here. Matt Roth, Manager of Operations. He's here to help me with questions I don't know the answers to.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem. Through you, Mayor. Yeah, two-stage curb is where the gutter and the actual curb are poured separately. So now you see like a monolithic, or it's all poured in the same structure. So it's more durable and lasting.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Maybe stay close.
Anyone else with questions or first comments? Councillor Andreessen.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Casenberg. I have a hypothetical question. I'm just curious, if we were indeed able to put in a truck bypass, would it have a thicker coat of asphalt based on the industrial truck traffic, or would it be your typical type of thickness? Thanks.
Through you, Mayor Casenberg, and Matt, if I'm wrong here, but I believe it would be similar to what the business park road is. Is that correct? So with the increased thickness to accommodate the transport trucks and also the transportation facilities.
Thanks. Anyone else with questions or first comments? Okay, seems like it's a big deal. Let's have the resolution. As follows, the Council of the Municipality of Mayor of Perth adopts the 2025 Municipal Development and Servicing Guidelines by resolution and delegates minor housekeeping amendments to the Manager of Operations, and that the Council of the Municipality of Mayor of Perth directs staff to bring Municipal Development and Servicing Guidelines back to Council at minimum once every term of Council. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Rothwell, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Anstead. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you very much. I think this was your first report to council. Just memory. Not commentary, just memory. All right, let's consider an item next from the Corporate Services Department under item 9.3 of our agenda. In item 9.3.1, Council is presented with an overview of the 2026 budget process. It is to be noted that despite mandates given by the province under the strong mayor powers for a budget to be the mayor's budget, due effort is being made as proposed to utilize as much of the previous process as is feasible in the work towards a budget for 2026. Seeing that a budget that is to the satisfaction of the mayor is brought forward as one of the few new duties under the introduced powers that cannot be delegated. I call on Ashton Romany, our treasurer, to address this item. Mr. Romany.
Thank you, Mayor Casenberg, and good evening, members of council. So as mentioned, this report provides some follow-up on the budget process due to the expansion of the strong mayor powers that were established on May 1st of this year. So as mentioned in the previous report regarding strong mayor powers and just mentioned by Mayor Casenberg, the budget process is not something that could be delegated by the mayor unless it's presented after February 1st of the fiscal year. So last month, we did meet with the mayor to discuss the strong mayor powers, with budget being one of these topics. As the budget now is a formal responsibility of the mayor, it was determined at that time that the mayor should be the lead of the budget process moving forward. As such, this would discontinue the traditional budget process of having a budget chair and a budget vice chair. However, based on previous comments by the mayor, the intent is to keep the budget process similar to how it was previously. In efforts to meet this goal, the mayor has issued a mayoral directive to instruct staff to prepare a proposed budget following the similar format of previous years. In order to achieve this, similar to other municipalities, staff will prepare a staff proposed budget that will be deliberated by council as usual. This package will then be endorsed and will serve as the foundation for the mayor's budget to be published. In other words, staff proposed budget will be a draft version of the mayor's budget. Since it's not the mayor's budget, council will have the ability to deliberate as usual. Once the mayor's budget is published, in accordance with legislation, council will have the ability to vote for an amendment. The mayor will have the ability to veto, and council will have the ability to override said veto. These all have prescribed timelines as referenced in the report. However, since there will be due process prior to publishing the mayor's budget, staff will be seeking to reduce these timelines accordingly. The specific reduction in these dates will be brought forward at the council endorsement stage once the staff proposed budget is complete. As referenced in the report, the mayor's budget does not need to be approved. It is automatically adopted once the prescribed timelines have passed. As an example, if there's no vote to amend the mayor's budget, it will automatically be adopted at that time. Included in the report is the anticipated timelines for the budget 2026 process, with the first meeting occurring on August 25th. As a plug, the pre-budget consultation survey is now open to the public and closes at the end of this month. So for those who are participating or observing, please complete the survey on your Say More Perth and spread the word. Similarly, an internal survey for council members has also been circulated with the same deadline at the end of this month, all of which will be discussed at the August 25th council meeting. Thank you, and if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Romani. Colleagues, questions or first comments on this? Councillor Andreessen.
Thank you through you, Mayor Kiesenberg. I just need to share my concerns at this time. The notion of the new process of staff and the mayor taking the main control with the budget really weighs heavily on my conscience as a municipal councillor. I recognize that the new budget process to some degree will be a parallel process to what has happened in the past. However, I believe it's really important that we continue to bring the voices of our residents to the chambers. And I feel that this whole change of the budget process reduces the voices of councillors and thereby reduces the voices of our residents. I feel that council is reduced to a cheering section while our residents sit in the nosebleeds when it comes to putting this budget together. Right now, it may not seem to be a problem, but if we were to have a mayor that liked to exploit one's positional powers, then the potential for the abuse could be destructive to our municipality, and we as a council would have a difficult time trying to be a voice for our community. It's clear that we have seen the abuse of political power in other levels of government and on an international level. So the potential for the abuse of power is always possible, and now the legislation makes it all okay in these chambers. I'm not blaming staff, and I'm not blaming the mayor. As you are all following the new process through the strong mayor legislation, which has been downloaded by this province. I continue to be shocked and confused about why this province seems to feel the necessity to legislate strong mayor powers with the budget process. I just want to express my concerns as a councillor because I feel that this process really erodes our democratic process and ultimately impacts the voices and impacts the concerns and interests of the residents of our municipalities and of the others as well. Unfortunately, there is no recourse. There's nothing we can do. There's no way we can stand up any further to this, but I do want to share my feelings and concerns. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Andreessen. Councillor Blazek.
Thank you through you, Mayor Kiesenberg. I've mentioned this before as we've discussed strong mayor powers, and I think that it's worth mentioning again, especially when we're talking about municipal budget. I think that we really need to make sure that the public is educated. You know, we have the municipal budget survey out right now, which is great. We don't always get a lot of feedback from the public, but now more than ever, that feedback is really important. I think it's crucial that we educate our public on what these strong mayor powers mean and what they mean specifically for the budget. I can only imagine the extra work that this makes for you and your department, Ashton. So I commend you in advance on the great work that I know you always do. I do have sort of a side question for the clerk. Does this mean that we have to repeal the bylaw that was made creating a chair and vice chair for the budget committee? Through you, Mayor Kasenberg. The bylaw doesn't need to be repealed. The provincial legislation will supersede our bylaw. Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Rothwell.
Thanks, Mayor Todd. Thanks, Ashton, for your report. I understand what Councillor Blasek and Councillor Andreessen have raised as concerns. I believe that Mayor Kasenberg and staff are trying to work within the new regime of strong mayor powers in terms of including council in the decision-making process, which they're not required to do. I believe it's an appropriate way to at least involve members of council in this discussion. And I think it's important to note that the mayor's prerogative in discussions with staff didn't have to do that. But I think given the comments from our mayor that he has been willing to delegate some of those strong mayor powers back to this council, and in this case, include council in the decision-making process, gives me some comfort. I understand what's been said by Councillor Andreessen in particular, that I may be fine for now, but in the case of subsequent mayors, this will have to be revisited. It's not necessarily a given that fact will be the case. And if you were watching the news tonight, certainly certain strong mayor powers and municipality not far away in Cambridge, they have taken to heart some of those powers and reorganized the entire city department over a weekend, and it's effective today. So that's on the extreme side, but at least in our situation here in North Perth, our mayor has been, I believe, correct and listening to what fellow councillors have spoken about, has been willing to take that to heart and brought forward this. So I appreciate Mayor Kasensberg, your consideration on that, as well as working with staff. Thank you.
Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Ashton. I commend you for this report because I think it involves us as much as we can, and I appreciate that. And you know the mighty mayor's powers here. I prefer mighty mayor over strong mayor. I think you're involving us as much as we can, and I think you've kind of adopted it that we are going to be involved somewhat. I hope we get lots of people that reply to the budget survey because it's important to get the word out there. But I commend you. I think it's a great report, and I think collaboratively, I'm assuming it's been quite a collaboration here to get us involved as much as you can, and thank you for that.
Anyone else? You can appreciate that I'm not fully happy with the circumstances and didn't particularly sign up for these circumstances. But, I mean, ironically, I was going to be budget chair next year anyway, right? Just a strange twist of fate. You know, I respect this team. I want to send that message clearly and publicly. I respect this team. I appreciate each of you. We have had a remarkably collegial experience together over my 6.5, almost 7 years as mayor. And so at every turn where there was the opportunity to allow council in and to move these powers away from me and back to council, I did that because I trust you and because I believe in you, and I don't see particularly the need for a lot of these authorities that have been granted me. You know, will I never use them? I don't know what circumstance will arise in the next 18 months, but I don't anticipate it at this point, and that's why I've delegated the vast majority that I can away from me, and to council or to staff. So I appreciate, working with Treasurer Romani and with CAO Snell and Deputy CAO Little, trying to, find this course. And let's not forget Clerk Carter, who actually had to become the expert in a lot of what's permitted and not permitted. I appreciated all the support that we've had and the ability that we've tried to use to make it possible that our usual practices, our usual patterns of power are respected and continued. That's what I want. So I reiterate, I did not ask for this. I'm not all that excited about it, and I'm not quite sure what the impacts will be. Although I certainly noted with interest Councillor Rothwell's story about neighbouring municipalities, and it's a bit startling to dabble in at that level of detail. So, colleagues, thank you, and for your frank comments, Councillor Andreessen, Councillor Blazek, um, Councillor Rothwell, and Councillor Johnston. I appreciate it and understand the spirit with which those comments have been offered. Anyone else? All right. Tonight, what we're doing is receiving this report. So let's consider that resolution. Council of the Municipality of North Perth receives the 2026 Budget Process Overview Report for information. Can I call for a mover on that one? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. Discussion or debate further? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. And I hope what you got from my comments is a certain weariness about this too. That it's, there's extra work that is involved for a whole lot of players, and I think it's a tiresome exercise in some ways, if I may say so publicly. All right, let's turn to an item from the Facilities Department. That's item 9.4. In item 9.4.1, staff bring forward an invitation for council endorsement to begin design on a facilities restoration project at the Listowel Kin Trail Bridge, and to refer the costs of the restoration to the 2026 budget process. North Perth Manager of Facilities Jeff Newell is here to update us on this specific project. Mr. Newell, welcome.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Mayor and Councillors. In 2021, the municipality of North Perth embarked on an infrastructure process by securing funding through the Investing in Canadian Infrastructure program. To date, the funding has successfully transformed a section of the North Perth Trail, 600 meters north of Highway or Road 87. One of the equally important tasks, however, is to ensure the maintenance and safety of our trail bridges, which were part of that grant application that we submitted and were successful in. So our current focus is on the Kin Trail Bridge, which is situated between Victoria Ave South and Salisbury Avenue South. The bridge spans approximately 33 meters in length by 3.5 meters wide. It was closely evaluated by BM Ross. Their investigation revealed that the remaining grant funds that we have would not be sufficient or adequate to address the bridge's urgent repair needs. The images in this report show the deteriorated state of the bridge. Initially, the bridge supported all kinds of heavy equipment like trains and things like that. But over time, the pier supports have deteriorated. If we were to reinforce these structures, it would only briefly delay a full bridge replacement within 5 years. So our current funds that we have available through the grant are not suitable to repair the bridge. So what we're doing is a study, or we're recommending is a study and structural review that has a site survey, archaeological and geotechnical investigations, as well as a heritage assessment and hydrological study. These steps will provide a new bridge design, ensuring safety and functionality for all users. Staff must carefully assess the bridge's future load capacity and width requirements, since the current structure accommodates municipal vehicles and snow machines. The cost estimate for future bridge design will be included as a budget item for consideration in the 2026 budget process. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Newell, for the bad news. Colleagues, questions or first comments? Councillor Blazek?
Thank you again, Mayor Kasenberg. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Newell. In my 40 years of living in this community, I couldn't even imagine how many times I've walked over this bridge. And it's such a beautiful spot. Every time I'm there, I'm just, looking out both sides. It's such a pretty spot along our trail. I've never seen it from this particular angle before that you have provided with those pictures. It's a little less attractive from the crumbling underside. Thank you for this work, and I hope personally, moving forward, we are able to do the work to keep this bridge for many, many years to come.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Anston.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I didn't know it was that bad either. Looking at the photos really tells the tale. Just in terms of the timeline, it's hard to probably give us one, but this is a pretty important structure, a pretty important piece of our trail. So I would hope that we can have some sort of a timeline so we let the residents know if we are going to be replacing it and what that looks like.
Right. So thank you for your question. There is a time-sensitive piece with regards to the grant funding that we have. And so the study would need to be wrapped up by the end of this year because that is when the funds are available until. At that point, we would have a cost estimate as what the replacement would be of that bridge because repair is basically out of the question because we would repair it and within 5 years need to replace. So we'd be looking at replacement. So we would be bringing back to council a notion of a couple of different designs of bridges and what is the intended purpose of the bridge, which would determine what kind of cost would be associated with it. And that's why we're indicating that it would be brought back as part of the budget process for this year for deliberation.
Thanks. Anyone else? Councillor Rothwell?
Thanks very much, Mayor Todd, and thanks, Jeff, for the report. Is this structure, this bridge structure, was it ever part of our bridge condition index work that we do? And if so, did we had an idea that it was in need of repair? It's just a matter that closer inspection showed us more. Is that what's happened then?
So a couple of things. It was identified as a replacement or repair in 1 to 5 years, and that has been over the last 3 years that we've been at that point. But the deterioration has happened longer for quite a long period of time. With the grant opportunity that we've got, there's been more investigation into it. So it really is, we wanted to put grant money towards the bridge and realize that there's not enough money to repair the bridge. But it was identified in our OSIM, I believe, is the terminology that they do.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I have a resolution then as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth directs staff to proceed to preliminary design to replace the Kin Trail Bridge, I'll get my words right, including a cost estimate to be brought back to Council for inclusion in the 2026 budget process. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Johnston, seconded by Councillor Richardson. Thank you. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you, Mr. Newell. All right, let's move to item 10 on our agenda. Does any member of council wish to ask for a report of staff or of a committee? Seeing none, for item 11, we have received one item of correspondence beyond those already shared in the consent agenda for council's disposition. This relates to food trucks for the List 150 celebration, and I have a resolution proposed as follows. The Council of the Municipality of North Perth approves the request from the List 150th Committee to allow food truck vendors to operate at the following municipally owned locations on Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. Listowel Memorial Park, 3 vehicles. Steve Kerr Memorial Complex, 9 food vehicles. And at the following municipally owned location on Sunday, August 3rd, 2025, Listowel Memorial Park, 2 food vehicles. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Anstett, seconded by Deputy Mayor Callum. Any discussion or debate? Councillor Blazek.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysberg. I believe the resolution that you just read left off the LDSS soccer field parking lot 1 food truck
Yeah, it's not on here.
on August 3rd.
Do you want to, let me turn to the clerk.
Through you, Mayor Kaysberg, that location is not municipally owned, so they would need permission from the school board.
Okay. Clarifies that. Right. Any discussion or debate further? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Next, we turn to consideration of bylaws that have been recommended to us for action. Tonight, we have 3 bylaws for consideration. Is one of these one of the ones you're affected by? Which one is it?
12.2 I need to declare as well for the record, please.
This is
Thank you.
68-2025.
Yes, that's the one.
All right. So why don't we consider that one separately?
Sure.
We'll do the first 2 and then we'll give you the opportunity to. We're going to split this so that Deputy Mayor Callum can vote on 2 of the 3 items here. So let's consider the first resolution, the first 2. The 2 items that he's not affected by as follows. The following bylaws are hereby passed. 60-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 47-PW-2000 as amended, and 69-2025 being a bylaw to exempt from part lot control Plan 171 Lot 33, Listowel Ward in the municipality of North Perth. Can I call for a mover? Moved by Councillor Andreessen, seconded by Councillor Duncan. Thank you. Any discussion or debate on those items in that resolution? Seeing none, I'm assuming that you've split that up for us. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. And now Deputy Mayor Callum will exit the chamber for his earlier declaration. And as follows, the following bylaw is hereby passed. 68-2025 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 6-ZB-1999 as amended. Moved by Councillor Richardson. Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Anstett. Thanks. Any discussion or debate on this one? Seeing none, let's have that vote. And that is carried. Thank you. Let's bring Deputy Mayor Callum back in. We got a little bit of runway still before he has to leave one more time. You're getting your steps in. You're getting your steps in tonight. All right. We are now at item 13 on our agenda as item 13.1. Does any councillor wish leave to give notice of motion? I'm not seeing any expression of that. That brings us to item 14 on our agenda. For item 14, are there any announcements that would be of benefit to our community or that reflect well on North Perth at this time? Colleagues. I believe it incumbent for me to point out that the Listowel Fair is coming up the weekend before our next council meeting, if I'm pacing myself correctly. And so I call on all of the community to support the Listowel Agricultural Society in attending the fair and enjoying the fair responsibly. It is certainly a good time. All right, anyone else with an announcement? Seeing none, that brings us to item 15. We have no intention to hold a closed session meeting of council this evening, meaning that we can also skip through item 16, which means that we have nothing to report about because we didn't do a closed session meeting. Council, as a mandated good practice, acts near the end of its meeting agenda to confirm all of its actions and business of its meeting through what is known as the confirmatory bylaw. I have a enabling resolution to that end as follows. That bylaw 70-2025 being a bylaw to confirm generally previous actions of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth is hereby passed. Moved by Councillor Andreessen, thank you, seconded by Councillor Rothwell. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, let's have that vote.
I'm in favor.
And Councillor Richardson records a manual in favor vote, and that is carried. Thank you. Colleagues, for bylaws tonight that touched on provincial priorities considered and passed, I am in support and will not execute a veto. This information will be provided to the clerk as part of my required duties as mayor. Councillors, we have completed deliberation and taken action on the business that has come before us tonight. That means we can turn to adjournment, and I have that resolution as follows. The council meeting adjourns at 8:15 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, July 21st, 2025 at 7 p.m. Can I call for a mover? Councillor Anstett, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Richardson. It's not debatable. Let's have that vote. And that is carried. Colleagues, see you at the fair. Our next regular council meeting is Monday, July 21st, 2025 at 7 p.m. We are adjourned.